Now that didn't automatically lower. That's interesting. Oh, because that's a... Never mind. We're going to make that even lower. Okay. Last we left off. It's funny because that's how I start all my D&D sessions. Last we left off. We got a decent, well, this is not the end of it, but a decent start to a creation myth, right? You know, and this, right, will be the kind of most popular story, probably. Or maybe not even that, but like the real, what literally happened. You know, not like anybody knows that for a fact, right? Because it's the creation myth. But we might also make up some other creation myths just to have multiple stories out in the world of how the world was created. Because that might be fun. That might be cool. They wanted to find... Okay, yeah, I was doing a last we left off. Last we left off, we made the start of our creation myth. Kind of gave an overall look of the world, what we want to build. The primordial titans were born out of the universe, created their own matters, you know, specific to them, right? But then eventually they turned those elements into order. They brought order to those elements, right? So they created the world and a couple of the species, the elves and the dwarves. The elves and dwarves were the only two species alive at the very, very beginning. Once there were humanoids, that is. They lived for a while, you know, expanding and all sorts of nonsense until the elves and dwarves got into a terrible conflict that lasted for generations and generations. Titans decided they needed somebody or possibly many people to help them govern this world because they couldn't do it. They couldn't figure it out. They couldn't figure out how to restore order. Yeah, I like that. They couldn't how to figure out how to restore order to their newly created world. So they granted unlimited power, one could say godly power, to 4 of these individuals, 2 elves, 2 dwarves, 1 male, 1 female each. And these four individuals were kind of brought to this power to create a kind of a fellowship, to come together to find a solution to this conflict. But they basically couldn't come up with anything. So what they came up with instead is a different kind of solution, to create a mediator, to create this combination of elf and dwarf, to help them figure out everything, which would be the human. The human was created, and multiple at a time, you know, at the beginning, right? It's not just one human, but the species of humans were created to help find a middle ground, to help mediate between the dwarven and the elven communities. And that worked. So there was peace again. So now there were dwarves, there were elves, and there were humans. And each would build, well, dwarves and elves would, you know, continue thriving within their own borders. He looks like that. Okay. Cool. And the humans, you know, started to build themselves. And kind of adapted to the world around them. We'll get to that, though, because I do want to kind of put words on that. Swole. Is that the idea? But meanwhile, these 4 individuals that were risen up. that were raised up. That sounds terrible. Is that right? They, they succeeded in their mission, right? But they're now gods that don't have communication with their original communities. There are ants on my desk. Did they get into my bar here? No. Ant gods. We could do something like that. So their mission was complete, right? So they wanted to find, but they still had the godly power. They wanted to find their own identities within that power, and to help. I mean, what they were really brought up to do originally, the conflict was the inciting incident, but they were given this godly power to help govern the world, to help bring peace and prosperity to this world that the Titans created. Yeah. So each of these individuals found a domain that they liked, that they wanted to inherit, that they wanted to rule over, if you will. So they each changed their names to these four. So the female dwarf, she became known as Vivamore. She is the goddess of life and death. And under that are those other kind of topics as well. But the title is Vivamore, the goddess of life and death. Is that her main title, goddess of life and death, or just goddess of life or goddess of death? No, I think it's important to state both. Then we have Savan, who was the male elf. Again, the races don't really matter at this point. They're just something else. They're gods, right? But Savan, the god of nature. And I kind of like that, that it's a male god, because usually the nature deity is a goddess. So I like that change. Similarly, the knowledge down below is a female, and that's not usually the case. Life and death can be both. I've seen it both ways. Anyway. We also have Gradim, who was the male dwarf. He is the god of civilization. Yeah. And lastly, we have Vicentia, who was the female elf. The Vicentia, the goddess of knowledge. I like that. I like these names. I like the domains. I like it. Sorry, I'll probably hear my twin lily. Let me finish this up. One sec. I almost forgot. Hoylepa gets some points for being first. There you go. Got a lot of points there. A lot of experience, I mean. Oh, goodness. Got 9 people on the leaderboard. That's cool. That's cool to see. So, let's move on with the state of the world. You can type exclamation point items to see what you can redeem them on. And then you can even follow the link to see more details on the said items. Let's move on with the state of the world, right? So we have these 3 species that are kind of finding a place for themselves. We have these 3 species that are finding a place for them, that are staking their claim on this world. At this point, the elves and the dwarves have these vast communities, while the humans are just starting out. Excuse me. Are we making our campaign like now? No, we want more races. So we need to figure out how the other races come about. The other species that come about come from the various needs of the world. So let's figure out why each other species was created. Okay, so we have humans, elves, and dwarves, halflings, and gnomes. I think it was Hoylepa used it yesterday about the idea of each species was created for a purpose, right? That was the general theme for that idea, I think. So I like that. So why were, I think you were saying gnomes was the scientists? What they have need for. So, what do they need? What do the people of this world need to do that requires another species that's good at that thing? Because construction, they don't need. They don't need someone else for that. That's dwarves. Dwarves are really good at that. Okay. The Porpoise Cult. Be malevolent. The Porpoise Cult. Trying to understand you. I'm trying to figure out what porpoise might be there. Isn't porpoise a thing, actually? Oh, like a porpoise. Oh. These guys? You want a cult of porpoises? The gnomes. Sorry. Oh, the purpose could be malevolent. That's what you said, not the Porpoise Cult. Oh my god. That's amazing. Now I need a Porpoise Cult. A cult dedicated to porpoises. What do we think about that? The gnomes could be created to annoy the dwarves. No, you're good. But the what's the word? Funny stuff comes out of your typos. So I'm about it. What was I about to say? I don't think they're created to annoy the dwarves, because I don't think the elven gods, because I say that it doesn't matter what race they were, but I mean it kind of does, right? Those gods still have like bias, right? They still have a want to make their race better down on the world, right? So it does matter. And so what I was getting to, I don't think that could be, because I think to create a new species, all these 4 gods need to come together and agree on what they're creating, I like that idea. Let me write that down. In order to create a new species, though, all 4 gods need to come together and agree. So what purpose? I mean, what is the world lacking that the halflings could provide? What is the world lacking that the halflings could provide? What, like, skill set? Probably a skill set, right? Halflings are typically known for their, like, hospitality. Let's think of Lord of the Rings together. Let's see. Hobbits, hospitality for sure. Drugs. A good time. What? But it does need to be, I think, or were they created because there is not enough fun in the world? It was way too serious. Is that stupid? That might be stupid. No, it wasn't. No, no. I think the Titans were good with whatever those 4 gods came up with as a solution. So I think they were fine with the creation of the humans. That's an interesting idea, though. And again, I don't think the Titans can create species. That is not in their capabilities. It's literally just elements. And I know in theory, aren't our bodies just elements? No. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff. So yeah, I don't think the Titans are capable of that. Titans aren't capable of a lot, to be honest with you. Just the elements themselves on the world, as well as, the elements and the creation of the various natural disasters and stuff, which is obviously in the elements. Now, where the first 2 races are created. That is a great point, Hoilepa. That is a great point. They did create those two races, didn't they? Okay, so maybe they can. Yes. So maybe they can. To that point, though, then, I think... One sec, I gotta put my stream on so I get that view. Sorry. There we go. To that point, I think that'd be kind of funny if the Titans were just bored, so they created gnomes to throw some chaos into the mix. Because gnomes are kind of chaotic and wild. Just thinking. I don't think I love the Titans being able to create species, though. I don't know why. It just rubs me the wrong way. But they did. But then how were those first 2 species created? Maybe the Titans used all their power at the time, or the majority of their power at the time, and they can't do that anymore. Maybe that's it. Well, and this thing right here, all 4 gods need to come together and agree. That's not just some weird rule, All 4 gods need to pull their power together to do so. Specialty of halflings, yes. Halfling skill set. Let me just look at the halfling race details. See if we find anything. Yeah, the comforts of home. Music, cooking, scouting. I'm thinking I'm leaning towards like the hominess, right? The comfort, the hospitality, because I mean that is their kind of whole thing. All these other these dwarves and elves at least are so serious, you know? They're so serious. We need some light. What am I trying to say? We need some whimsy in our world. Do they forage? Sure. But I mean, at this point all the species had to have been foraging and farming and stuff. Motivation. Entertainment. Yeah, entertainment is part of that too. Yeah, so I think halflings is hospitality and entertainment. Yeah, I think so. And obviously all these other species already have their own forms of entertainment. It's not like they haven't been entertaining themselves for the last, I don't know what this timeline is, hundreds of years maybe. But yeah, they just need a little more. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But yeah. We'll write up a little thing on the halflings, but let's. Gnomes, would that be like innovation? Because the dwarves are good at like, construction and crafting. But innovation, I feel like, is something different, right? Would you agree? Innovation and invention. Yeah? Or is that too close to, like, construction and crafting? Because, like, the dwarves are really good at crafting, like, weapons and tools, right? But the gnomes are good at, like, coming up with new ideas, right? And the dwarves might, if they find a way to do something, they stick with it, right? Even if it is a lot of work. Yeah. That seems right to me. But the gnomes, bring... Yeah. They tinker. They innovate. They invent. They improve upon. They progress. Yeah. I think we're going with that. Just put generally innovation / technology. I'm going to put that in quotes. Because, I mean, when we say technology today, we think of, the cutting edge, phones and stuff. And obviously they don't have those at the time. But technology really just means something new. Adaptation. Yeah. problem solving. Yeah, I mean, they're smart in general. Innovation and technology. And then we're gonna do one more race, but we don't know what that is yet. Maybe later, another species was created for like kind of a story reason, if that makes sense. Like we need to put this artifact in a safe place and have people guarding it. Oh, let's create a species for that purpose. You know, maybe that. We'll look at that later though. Okay, so let's kind of put this more into a paragraph format. For instance, their world. We need to come up with a name for the world, by the way. That's another thing we need to do. Their world. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Their world was quite cold. Not physically, but emotionally. Was quite emotionally distant and cold. Everyone was so serious. And while the humans are kind of the diplomatic species, right? They were created for diplomacy reasons, in a way. Which is interesting. But people can be diplomatic toward each other without being civil. Well, no, civil's not the right word. That is being diplomatic, being civil. But without being, I don't know, friendly. Friendly towards other communities. So I think that's another thing that the halflings kind of brought to the world. Taught the people of the world that you can have fun. Everyone was so serious and weren't very friendly to each other. Also, the world was very light on entertainment. Therefore, the gods decided to create a new species in the form of halflings. Sorry, just thinking. Therefore, the gods decided a new species in the form of halflings. These squat, but nimble. But what's the next word here? Persons. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I just kind of start typing without an end in sight. That kind of bites me in the butt sometimes. These halflings are squat like the dwarves, but nimble like the elves. They brought a sense of fun and joy to the world that wasn't very prevalent before. I like that. I'm gonna be right back, guys. Okay? Cool.
Stupid man thing!
I am a stupid man thing. Thank you. Jacobin79 for the follow. I really do appreciate that. Welcome in, welcome in. Sorry about that wait, guys. I was just doing a couple things, including getting some more water. Gotta stay hydrated and all that. I'll lower this a bit. Okay. We'll let it pause there because I don't have that thing on the one thing. Cool. I am audible, right? Okay, cool. Similarly, at a certain point, like we can't like assign like timelines to really, I mean we could, but it's not really a need to. We'll just kind of vague sense it after we're done. Over the last 300 years, all of these things occurred, kind of thing. Similarly, at a certain point, technology wasn't progressing at a rate befitting the world and its dangers. See, with dwarves, once they find something that works, they stick with it. What about the background music? Oh, I have that down on here. Oh wait, did that save? Oh, that's interesting. Wait, what? That was weird. I don't know why I did that. Never mind. They stick with it. They don't change. They don't alter. They don't modify. They don't innovate. Therefore, the gods decided to create a new species in the form of gnomes. Apparently the dwarven gods really wanted their say in the height of their new species, because now they created, well, I guess the elves, this doesn't really matter. But yeah, there's just now 3 short species and 2 taller ones. But I mean, it's fine. I don't even know what I'm talking about it. Therefore, the gods decided to create new species in the form of gnomes. Capitalize that crap. These gnomes We don't always need to compare them to the dwarves and elves, I guess. But how is everybody doing today? Thank you for coming in. Welcome, welcome. We're doing some world building. Just some good old-fashioned... You can't see this. No one wanted to tell me that? Okay. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. That's why the music went all the way down. Goodness. Sorry about that. Thank you, Derpiego. How is it going today? If you want to find items that you can redeem, you can go boom boom, items, all those things you can redeem. If you click on that link, it'll give you more details on said items. And you use those with your experience, the experience you generate over time, but just by watching this channel, as well as if you follow, things like that. Yeah. Like, for instance, Naboo is the dog who's not in here at the moment, but she could be. But she could be. These gnomes. Diego, we are talking about why the other species were created now. The halflings were created to give the world a sense of fun and joy that wasn't very prevalent beforehand. And the gnomes were created to innovate, to progress technology in a kind of a faster rate than was happening before. These gnomes would have the craftiness of the dwarves, but what do they have of the elves? The elegance? Would you say the technology? Would you say gnomish technology is elegant? Because they could have taken maybe the elegance of the elves, or the yeah, maybe. You would say gnomish technology is elegant? Yeah, let's go with that. But the elegance of the elves. Yeah, because when dwarves craft, when they build, it's all blocky. Their drifting mind. It's interesting. But it's all like blocky, and it's always like, robust. And, yeah. But now gnomish technology to kind of took that and kind of innovated, and with some elegance, with some polish, with some flamboyance, if you will, I like it. Cool. Really kind of defining these species early on, which I like. Obviously, if a player is a gnome, or if a player is a gnome, they're not necessarily going to be beholden to these things, but it's important to, I think, distinguish these qualities early on. Gnomes could be the reason for the other races. They did go nuts till the gods they went nuts till the gods themselves stopped them. Like the other races later on. Maybe. I think for this first kind of campaign that I'm planning on doing, this will be all the races. So I think this is how I'm going to structure it. Like, I'm going to tell my players, these are the races, these are the species in the world, right? These 6 or so, right? If you're one of these, that's normal. That's normal. That's common. You won't be looked at twice, right? But if, because I'm not going to necessarily restrict my players to those only. But if they want to be something else, right? I'm going to let them know that that's not normal. You are not a common species. So you might have to deal with that. Obviously at that point, we'll come up with a reason why that species was created. or if he's the first one, or if he's the first if he was within the first community of that race, and I'll think in my brain how that species was created, and so on. I like tell my player, this is weird. You will be looked at weirdly, and then that might be some cool kind of roleplay story elements that come out of that. Yeah. So that's the idea of that. They would take what the world has done to this point and improve upon it. There's the doggy. You get a free dog look. Hey, doggy. Naboo. She's looking at y'all. Do you see those ears, by the way? Those ears are ridiculous. Anyway. They would take what the world has done to this point and improve upon it. Let me turn the background music a little bit lower. You guys have a nice pet there looking at that player. Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. If you look at, an orc or something, you're like, yeah, you guys have a nice pet there. What'd you say to me? Yeah, I feel you. They would take with it and improve upon it. They would bring a particular intelligence to their craft that will never be outmatched. Yeah? Go with that? Sorry, I get like this sometimes, I know. I'm just thinking. So that's where all the races are created, though, at least these races for now. Again, we're gonna add 6th race, but we're gonna figure what that is a little later. But this is basically the creation myth. I'll just keep those notes there just because. Let me make that. Oops. Okay. So we've talked about our gods. We've talked about the creation being from the Titans. We've talked about the gods and their domains. We've talked about the various species. 5 of the 6 we're going to have, right? Yeah, 5 of the 6 we're going to have, and how they were created, why they were created. It's important to think about. Let me think about. So the dwarves, elves, and humans kind of have their own communities, right? But the halflings and gnomes, I feel like, were kind of just inserted and found themselves not their own civilizations. They kind of just found their place within the already existing civilizations. Because, well, I'm sure there's still plenty of the world that's not undiscovered, but... Could also be merchants. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think they could easily find themselves in that role. Yep. To trade goods. Yep, for sure. So they're kind of like, yeah, they're kind of more travelers. Halflings are. That sounds good. And I think, now I feel like gnomes would have probably built up, found a place and built up a civilization. Probably, right? Halflings are more transient, while the other 4 so far are sedentary. Man, I'm tired. Why am I so tired? Man, I'm getting up so early tomorrow morning. I'm not looking forward to it. For the convention. Yeah, just as a reminder, I will not be here tomorrow, unfortunately. So, look out for me on Monday morning. I'll be back. As long as I'm not crazy tired from the con. I should be here, though. Could be hermits. Ooh. It's an interesting idea. They're hermits, but they do provide technology to the world at large. Like, gnomish technology gets out there. So is that, maybe it's not intentional though, to your point? Maybe, they try to keep it in, but gnomish technology keeps getting out, and then, the other civilizations benefit from that. That could be interesting. Obviously, we're being very general here, but speaking generally is fine. There's always going to be, it's their trade good. There's always going to be exceptions, obviously. So there might be like a gnome that's not a hermit, that really likes people and stuff. But generally speaking, gnomes are hermits, huh? So let me do another "What is the world like?" segment. The humans, elves, and dwarves have many thriving civilizations all over the world. Humans, slightly less so. All over the worlds. There's only one world right now. The halflings are a transient people, constantly traveling. Yeah, thinking about it, in most fantasy settings, right? There are a couple cities that are only dwarves or only elves, right? But most cities are, a big old melting pot. I'll read your comment in a second. Let me get through this thought. Most of the big cities are a big melting pot. But I think at this point, so early on in the history, I think pretty much most cities are almost fully exclusive. It's not like they ban other species. It's just you won't find the other species in other cities besides halflings, right? So you'll find in a dwarven city, right? You'll find a bunch of dwarves and some halflings. In an elven city, you'll find a ton of elves and some halflings. I think that's where we're going. And then, obviously there's exceptions, right? I think of gnomes like mages. They have everywhere their towers, but barely contact to the outside because it interrupts their studies. Interesting. Yeah, we need to talk about magic too. I forgot about magic. We need to have a place for magic. Also, city don't like explosions inside the city. That's true. Yeah, so they don't usually find themselves in the cities. They usually find themselves in the wild. You know what I mean. Like, but yeah, yeah. I like all that. That's interesting. No, so who is the magical species? Let's talk about magic. Magic. What is the origin of magic? Because we do need to have magic for our first campaign. I mean, we can't do a campaign without magic. We need magic. Were the gnomes responsible for bringing magic into the world? Was that part of the innovation and technology? The gods, yeah. I mean, yeah, right. Maybe the god of knowledge. No, I want to be the Titans. I mean, there's some elemental magics, so maybe that. But the ability to do magic at all, right? That would come from Vicentia, if we're saying it's divine, but maybe it's not divine. I don't know. Is it just a thing that existed when the world was created, like the weave, right? Most fantasy settings deal with the weave, kind of this invisible net that encompasses the world, and by casting a spell, you're kind of spinning or tweaking that part of the weave to create an effect. Intimidate the god and create magic in the process. Maybe. Is magic divine? Initially. Obviously, in current, 5e, they're the wizard and the sorcerer, they're not divine. They're not divine magic. That's arcane magic. But I think originally it came from a god, Vicentia. Did it? Well, because it's weird, because then you also have, you're also going to have a cleric that's going to be a cleric of Vivamore. But she can do magic. So magic would be a first form of prayer. See, yeah, I don't think I like that. I don't think we're going to go the divine route. Because then there's a weird, disconnect. It's like if you're cleric for Vivamore, are you serving Vivamore, but also you're getting your power from Vicentia? That doesn't make any sense. But no, clerics get their power. Or, okay, maybe this is the differentiation, right? The clerics get their power directly from their god or goddess, right? So they're not kind of manipulating the weave. They're just granted power, and they granted some of that god's power, and they can do that, right? Sometimes, yes. But originally, not continuing forward. Maybe Vicentia created the weave, or whatever we do for magic, right? I don't know if I could do the weave. But say she created the weave, and so that is in place. Now, she's not maintaining that. She is not keeping that up. She's ultimately the one responsible for it originally, but when a wizard does magic now, they manipulate the weave of their own accord. It's not like they're getting permission, or they're not praying to Vicentia. They're not getting permission from Vicentia to do these things. They can just do it because that weave exists, and now Vicentia can't actually get rid of it or anything. Excuse me. Maybe? Yeah. So I don't know if it's the weave yet, but I think Vicentia created magic. Vicentia? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe we do go, the gnomes created it. Maybe the gnomes created it? But how do they create such a powerful force? I don't think that's very plausible. Or did something big happen that created this as a kind of an after effect? Ooh, I kind of like that. Like a big experiment or big... Let me start writing something. Maybe a climactic event happened. And sometimes my bots just line up in a way that they just go crazy. maybe a climactic event happened, and the after effect was the creation of the weave and the ability for particular people to manipulate it. That's kind of neat. That concept, I mean. This kind of event happened. What would have been that event? Was it one of these species, or, multiple of these species kind of experimenting with something? Was it the gnomes experimenting with something? Maybe? An extra-dimensional invasion? That's so, sci-fi. I love it. An extra-dimensional invasion. I like it. I don't think it's the way to go, though. Orcs and goblins and the millions attack through a portal. I think maybe something supernatural. Not that exactly, but maybe something supernatural happened and created the weave. And it doesn't even need to be the weave. The death of a titan. No, that is very climactic and awesome, but I don't think I can't see how that logically would result in the creation of magic. Well, the elemental force, the chaos nature of a titan is kind of embedded into the world, and then spellcasters can what's the word? Feast upon or use that chaos. But then how do certain people bring order to that chaos, like wizards, right? How do wizards bring order? The creation of undeath. I don't think anyone into the I was humoring that idea because I was digging it, the death of a titan. But I don't think I want any of these titans dead, because then what would happen in their place? Then would there be no one kind of using that element, or would that element not exist in the world anymore, or would? Because we were saying earlier that yesterday that the titan, the titan puts the storms and natural disasters onto the world because they can. So if there was a death of a titan, then we wouldn't have natural disasters of that kind. Yeah, so I don't think we do that. The ascension of a human to godhood, no. There's gonna be no more gods, at the moment. That's a big plot point that we could do in a campaign. Don't mind me. I'm thinking. Later on in this world, much, much later, I want to experiment with shattering of time. Neat. I want to experiment with other planets. In the future, this will be super sci-fi and futuristic, right? I know I'm super low. I'm just kind of way down here. with other planets and such. A dwarf elven war. No, see, because that's the whole point of me making this world. I don't want to do any big wars yet. I want this to be very early on, where there really hasn't. I mean, besides the huge conflict that happened, I guess that counts. But you know what I'm saying? That's part of the creation myth anyway, so that doesn't really count. What was I saying? I want to experiment with other planets and science fiction and space travel and all that crap. So maybe I actually go ahead and plant that seed way early on, like now. Hello, everybody. Welcome. If you're new, we were doing some world building, which I'm just trying to think right now. We're just trying to think together about the creation of magic in this world. I don't want it to be from a god. I want it to be from some kind of supernatural event, I think. And later on, maybe 3 or 4 campaigns down, I want it to be a sci-fi, space travel, planetary exploration kind of stuff. So maybe we plant that seed now. Way early on. There are people potentially living on some of those other planets. That's an interesting idea. Not necessarily for this, but just an interesting idea in general that I might take. That is interesting. Something, so like, there might be people living on another planet at this point in time, that are kind of developing alongside. A moon entered the orbit. Something like that. Maybe this other planet or whatever is highly advanced. Super. Wait a second. An idea just popped in my head. I'm kind of developing it in my brain. What if you get your magic from an arcane net that encompasses the world? I know it's very similar to the weave. Yeah, maybe a meteorite. All right, like that kind of thing. But what if there was a net that encompassed the world? But it's actually been here the whole time. But it's actually a cage that the Titans created this world and this cage to trap something. I'm getting a little bit of inspiration from Critical Role here, by the way. But, hey! Sounds good. Thanks for stopping by, Greedini. Appreciate the lurk. What if it's a cage? And that cage is the arcane net that people can manipulate. The birth, the birth of the world egg. Or yeah, instead of the world is an egg and then Titans wants to hatch it. Yeah, maybe instead of trapping like a threat inside the world, it's actually a creature that they want to birth, whatever, you know what I mean. A creature they want to bring into this world, but it's like a thousands and thousands of years. What's the word? Gesticulation? No. What's the crap is the word? Gestation? Just. Oh my god. Gestation. That's what it is. Gestation. But it's got a huge thousands and thousands of years gestation period. Sorry, let me get rid of this notification. a nest to keep it warm. Yes, and they were like, it's gonna take thousands and thousands of years, so we might as well create this world around it. Well, yes, because this egg, this creature needs warmth, it needs life, it needs power feeding into it to grant it. Now, the Titans did not tell, obviously, the mortals this, and did not tell the newly formed gods this. This is their secret. This is their secret. Dylan, when it comes time, you better forget all of this. Just saying. So magic has been here for a while. Let me start typing this, because I think I like this. I think we might go with this. That could be a good what's the word? Inciting incident for the whole space age. That's interesting. That's interesting. The Titans originally created the world to house a Titan egg. Oh, so is it another Titan they're creating, or is it some other creature? We don't have to have an answer for that now. To house the very long gestation period of a new, I don't even know what to call this, of a new creature. I'll call it a creature for now, because I don't know what to call it. But basically, think, yeah, I mean, we're kind of getting inspiration also, I don't know if you are, but I am, from the Eternals, the bad Marvel movie. I actually didn't mind it. But that inside the Earth is a, what did they call them? One of those very large beings. Yeah. And he was ready to come out, but they stopped him so the Earth wouldn't be destroyed. Yeah, some inspiration from that. I'm a huge Marvel fan, so anywhere I can get inspiration from Marvel is also a good plus. Stupid man thing! I am a stupid man thing. Thank you, Willow Noon. Thank you for following. I really do appreciate that. I hope you're enjoying what you're seeing. I hope you stick around while we're creating this world. And I'm getting so much from Hoylepa and others in chat here, so feel free to chat it up. Give me some ideas. We're figuring out how magic works. I think we're figuring it out now. That the Titans originally created the world to house this very long gestation period of a new being. Hi, Willow Noon. How are you? Of a new being. I am good. I'm doing all right. Of a new being. I'll say that for now. How are you? Good. That is good. Good to hear. You a big D&D fan? I do at the moment. I stream on weekdays. I got a weird text. I stream on weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time here in the U.S. So it's GMT -5. Thank you. Thank you so much. A new type of being. Which game I most fave? Well, I've been playing Stardew Valley recently. That's been fun. But I mean, if you're just asking what my favorite video game is, it's God of War, the God of War series. Yeah. A new type of being. This period would last thousands of years. This hatchling, we'll call it. I am from the U.S. This hatchling, eastern side. This hatchling, requires energy, power, heat, and life. You have a great idea for my channel, huh? You have some art for me or something? You from Canada? Cool. Cool, cool, cool. This hatch requires energy, power, heat, and life. So the Titans created the world around it and the life upon it. To help feed. I am good at the moment. I actually do have an artist, and he has been wonderful, as you can tell. I'm good, thank you. So Titans create the world around it and place life upon it to help feed their child, so to speak. Yes. I think we're going to go with that. Well, so the original idea that brought us to this was that there's an arcane net trapping, but they're not trapping this creature, so there wouldn't be this arcane barrier necessarily. But I guess the awesome. I wish you best of luck, but I am good, so thank you. So someone can run a place upon life to help feed their child. But I guess I'm okay, Willow. Thank you. But the wizards and the sorcerers, the spellcasters, get their energy, get their magic from the hatchling? From the energy? But then it's almost like the hatchling is feeding themselves rather than the other way around. So I don't think that makes sense. So how do they get the magic? How do they get the ability to create these wonderful effects in the world? Like, what is making that happen? What is making that happen? What is making that happen? Yeah, I mean, I hope Willow finds someone that can use their services. I do. It can be pretty tough being an artist. So, I mean, I get it. The thing I like about self-promo people is that they typically give me a free follow. Right up there. Actually, it didn't update. Let me see if I can update it. There we go. Ooh, 32 followers. Nice. Oh yeah, I got that Jacobin earlier. Maybe the Titans just also created this magical net, or not net anymore, but a web, and so that people can use it. So that, and that when anybody uses it, it kind of, that energy kind of goes into the soil, goes into the earth, and feeds that hatchling, that child. Maybe. I still want there to be a better reason for magic to exist. Like not a reason, but a how. How was magic created? Because I mean, we could just say, Titan just goes boop magic, but I mean that's kind of boring, you know. It's kind of boring. But now we're saying that the Titans, want energy and stuff to be fed to this child of theirs. So that is why they created magic. Maybe. If they created magic. So if magic was created early on in the world's first creation, I don't think it was used very much by those original dwarves and elves and the others. But it really started being used by the gnomes, funny enough. Because they wanted to use it. They wanted to use it to help their tinkering, help their inventions, help their innovations. They wanted to use it. So magic became more of a resource at that point. Maybe. To help this goal, the Titans also created trying to figure out how to, could be like oil. It was there, but they didn't know how to use it. Yeah, exactly. I want to figure out a more unique system for our magic. By system, I mean like more of a narrative system. Because like I was saying, I think the main D&D one, the Forgotten Realms, uses the weave, and a lot of fantasy settings use the weave, which is just this all-encompassing thing that you just manipulate, and that's how you get like ley lines, and that magic along those ley lines are more powerful, and when they connect, that's really powerful. And then you have solstices that might even move the ley lines. That might just be a Critical Role thing, but that whole system. But I wonder if we can come up with something else. Like, are there points of interest? Are there hot spots all over the world that they could need clockwork? No, that's an interesting idea, but no. Wait a second, let me think of that. I mean, that's an interesting idea, and I could see it, right? But I also don't want to be like, players, like say a wizard, be like, I need this clock to cast my spells. The clockwork thing kind of coincides with the gnomes and being able to use magic better. So that's why I stopped on it for a second. The clockwork could help them with their magic for whatever reason, but that's not like the main overarching system that I'm trying to find. Maybe like hotspots, what I was saying, all over the world, and you draw your power from that hotspot wherever you're closest to. That sounds stupid. There's a cat meowing. Ley lines, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's the weave, pretty much. But I mean, it's a classic. It's good. The weave and ley lines. It's great. So we could just do that. Because going through this world building process, I want there to be a lot of unique things to our world, but I also want there to be a lot of hints, a lot of inspiration, a lot of familiar things. So like I'm not changing up the qualities of elves and dwarves very much. The elves are very elegant, kind of haughty. The dwarves are rugged and crafty and construction minded and miners and all that's the same, because you can't mess with that too much. I mean, those are great tropes. You don't want to mess with the tropes too much. So I'm trying to find that middle ground between finding these unique things that I can do and finding the familiar. So, but we might I don't know. Maybe we just keep ley lines / the weave. Maybe we just keep it. Bound to life force. I don't know what the implication would be there, if that's the case. Like it's bound to your own life force. It's like when you cast spells, are you draining your life? Because that's what it sounds like. Or is it bound to the life force of the world, perhaps? I'm trying to keep the whole Titan child thing in the back of my head while thinking about this. Your own life. Yeah, let me go back to this paragraph here. To help this goal, the Titans also created magic. In the form of what? In the form of what? In the form of what? Instead of a weave or ley lines, it could be just an ever-present force. Go like Star Wars with it. I know Star Wars normally likens or akins, whatever the word is, Jedi's and the Force to a faith, to a divinity. That's kind of what the analog is for Jedi, but we could. But the Sith. Necromancy takes the life force of others. Yeah, I don't want to do the bound to life force thing, I don't think. Or do the Titans like pick out people that just inherently have magic? I know inherently have magic, that means sorcerer. So how would you have a wizard? But like we could narratively theme the wizard to just inherently have magic, but have to work at it a different way. No, I don't like that. But I like the first part of that is the Titans choose who become their sorcerer. So ultimately, so they just kind of expend like a little bit of their power, the Titans. Magic can be an effect from the egg. That's what I was thinking originally, I think, but I don't know how. Does it like root itself? Does it like, send out energy? Because the whole thing about the egg is that it brings in energy to make sure it grows. So I feel like that would be the opposite effect. It wouldn't give away energy. There's a disconnect there. What was I saying though? The how sorcerers exist, because I think that's important to distinguish. Obviously, fighters and most of the classes are just like they train and do stuff. But like the I mean, this is about magic, right? Let's see. Let me just type also. The Titans granted inherent power to sorcerers. And the reason is really that wait. Because the Titans can't feed the egg itself the energy, or else it would be super, super, super easy. Um, but they can grant some of their power to sorcerers, to certain individuals, whoever they choose, or whatever. And then when they cast spells, some of the energy that's cast goes into the egg. Very, very small amounts of it, mind you. What are you saying? The egg sends out magic to function like an antenna? Is that what you're saying? Not following there. Titans going to Terran power. The Titans can't give power directly to their egg, but they can grant power to sorcerers, who, when they cast spells, feed energy into the ground and into the child. The sorcerers function like an antenna. Bless me. Who, when they cast spells, feed energy in the ground and into the child. Yeah, so that's one way the Titans are helping it, right? And meanwhile, the gods are like, why are you giving power to these random people? That's so random. But they're just chaotic anyway, so yeah, that'd be kind of an interesting kind of through line that the Titans do just all these chaotic things, right? But the gods have just chalked it up to they're chaotic, they just do what they want. But really, the Titans are really going after their goal. You know what I'm saying? They're going after their goal of feeding this child and growing it and helping it develop, expand, and eventually be born. Yes. Yes. Hello, anybody that's new, welcome in. Please feel free to hop in the chat and help me build this world. Building this world for my eventual next campaign. I'm in the middle of a campaign right now that's going to take probably quite a bit longer. Don't mind the cat either. But this is for the eventual next campaign that I want to build the world for. And I am having a lot of fun doing it. So, yeah. If you haven't already, feel free to go give me a follow. If you see up at the top left there, I'm trying to reach those 50 followers. We're getting there. We got 32. There's a cat that's very annoying. That's right behind me. Hello, cat. This is Phantom. How you doing, Phantom? Oh, okay. Yeah. And here is Naboo. Nope, you can't see her. Never mind. If you're a fan of Star Wars, you'll like all my pets' names. They're all Star Wars. Got Naboo, we got Phantom for Phantom Menace. We got Jawa and Tauntaun. So their first thing they did was, well, first thing they started doing, I guess, because they do it, every now and then, was granted inherent power to certain individuals who could cast spells. Now, I imagine other people are like, you can cast spells? That's amazing. How do I do that? Because at this point, right, if you weren't born with it, you don't have magic. So, The Titans might pick people that are older, not necessarily newborns, I guess. So, but people could just randomly come upon their power, if you will. Excuse me. And sorcerers can even manipulate their spells and all sorts of stuff. That all comes from inherently from the Titans. So we're saying all sorceress magic comes from Titans. What are the new subclasses for You're out of here, Orlipa. Well, have a great day. Thank you for all your help so far. Really do appreciate you stopping by once again. If you're around on Monday, I will see you then. I will not be here tomorrow. What was I gonna look at? Sorcerer. Did they post a sorcerer thingy? I don't think they did. They randomly don't post particular ones. What are the new sorcerer subclasses? I know it's draconic, it's wild magic. Wild magic works. Thank you for redeeming that, Big Surf Bro. Appreciate that. Yeah, appreciate that. Let's see. That was so the new player's handbook. Obviously, I want a bunch of them to be relevant. But there's wild magic. There's draconic bloodline. So if we're saying all sorcerer's powers come from the Titans, how does draconic bloodline work? Do we just retheme that, or what? I think we just retheme it. Wild magic works. Aberrant mind, sure. Doesn't really matter. What was the other one? Divine soul, I think, is the new one. Well, not new one, but it's gonna be the new player's handbook. Hey. Wait a second. Wait, what? Isn't it Clockwork? Yeah, Clockwork Soul is the other sorcerer one. Yeah, not divine. It's Clockwork, Wild, Aberrant, and Draconic. Clockwork Soul. Yeah, those all work. That's fine. Did you hear me earlier, Dylan? You better forget about all this crap when you're eventually in this campaign. Not like all this stuff is fine, but the egg thing. The Titan child thing. Feeding it into the child. Okay, LOL. Yeah, good. Yeah, are y'all back? Wasn't around for the egg thing. Okay, never mind. Are y'all back in why am I forgetting where you live? You back in the place that you live? Still in Florida. Is it this weekend you're getting the RV, or was that last weekend? The camper, I mean. How is it, if you did get it? Yeah. How is it? Looking good? Nice. Going over to Coco. Oops. Yeah. Gotta make that thing livable. Indeed. But you got like a year or something, so. And out of that year, like, what, 4 months out of that year to actually be present around it? How do wizards do their stuff? Did the Titans just also make the weave at the same time as they're doing this stuff? Maybe they realized later that they could make this weave? Or maybe, actually. Oh, yeah. Noise. Yeah, won't see until December, yeah. Go. Maybe the gods saw these individuals having magic, and they knew it's from the chaos of the Titans, right? But they were like, what if other people had that magic? So maybe Vicentia did create the weave. Yeah, but that magic has to exist. The ability has to exist, right? The like I was saying in the well, you might not have been here. The fantasy worlds, most fantasy worlds have the weave that kind of encompasses the world, right? And wizards and others, all spellcasters, are like pulling on those threads, like, and tweaking them to make an effect happen, a magical effect. That's the idea. So like something has to exist for magic to happen. So that's what I'm trying to figure out and how it came to be. So I think because the Titans are just granting magic powers to people, and they are in 5e sorcerers, inherent power, that is, and the gods are seeing this. Well, specifically the Vicentia, the god of knowledge, sees this. Be like, what if other people can do that? Because the gods don't have that same ability as the Titans. They can't just grant power to somebody. They can have followers. They can have clerics and paladins that follow them, and they can what's the word? Not siphon, but grant ongoingly power. But Vicentia thought of something to just put a thing in place, like the weave, so that anybody can learn magic. So anybody can learn magic and tweak the weave. I like this. I think I like that. The gods do not have this power. Let me just put all my thoughts into words here. They can grant ongoing powers to their followers as long as they have faith, right? That's the difference here. And these powers are just different in general, right? Cleric and paladin are different from a wizard, for instance. But they do not have the power. They do not have the ability to just simply grant power to people like the Titans can. So, Vicentia, the goddess of knowledge, had an idea to place this arcane weave. I think we're going with a weave. I wanted to be different, maybe, but I think we're just going to go weave. Hello, welcome in. If you are new here, we are building a world from scratch. we've gotten quite far. We've got our 4 main gods so far, and we got how the species are here, kind of our big creation myth, working on how magic exists right now. Appreciate a follow if you're new. We're trying to get to that 50 followers goal up the top left there. Appreciate that. Vissentia, the goddess of knowledge, has an idea to place this arcane weave around the entirety of the world. So that anyone could learn how to manipulate it and create magical effects. What do we think? So, and I was saying this earlier, so Vissentia created the magical weave, but it's not like wizards are going to pray to Vissentia to get their power. That's not how that works. They're not Vissentia's followers. She's just the one who originally created the weave. But then anybody can just theoretically anybody could learn how to manipulate this arcane weave and create magical effects. Yeah. Yeah. Just thinking. If I ever get quiet on y'all occasionally and just stare, I'm just thinking. Don't be alarmed. And this is how wizards access their magic. Yeah. Well, so clerics follow a deity, right? Clerics follow one of these 4 deities at this point: Vivamor, Savan, Gradim, or Vissentia. And as long as they have faith in their deity and they follow him, that deity might grant them power. But this isn't like granting a one-time power, you're good to go. This is like they have to keep that connection, right? They have to keep that connection. So they can grant power in that way. And obviously that follower will pray to that god and get guidance from that god for their powers. Yeah. But it's important to think about each of these classes and how they do the things that they do. Because the next one I was thinking about was Bard. We need to figure out what the Bard is going to do. So we got wizards, we got sorcerers, we got clerics going to follow a deity, paladins follow a deity, same thing. Now druids and rangers, they get nature magic, okay? Now this is different than following the nature deity Savan in this instance, because there are nature clerics, I'm pretty sure, generally speaking. Not usually, though. But, I mean, I want the ability for a druid to be a druid and not necessarily follow a deity. So, I don't think a druid is just a cleric that follows Savan, for instance. No. Because a cleric could follow just Savan and be a nature cleric, even if that's not necessarily a subclass. They could be a nature cleric, right? But there are nature clerics. There is like the Tempest cleric, for instance. That would be the storms. What was I doing? Druid. Nature magic. I mean, they just are able to... What is the logic behind nature magic, really? They're just able to connect with the trees and the life and the animals around them and draw power from them? I mean, yeah. I think that one, and rangers can be pretty kind of vague. Like, yes, you are just able to harness the energies around you from nature itself. Yeah? You know, it'd be funny. Maybe druids aren't actually good for the Titans or the Titan child, because it actually draws energy away from it. That might be interesting. You know, this would be interesting. What if the Titans don't like tree huggers? That's the tagline for this next topic, okay? The Titans don't like tree huggers. They don't. Let me write this down. The Titans hate tree huggers. It's a very weird tagline, I know, but bear with me, okay? Let me sit back up. No one's checking my posture. How dare you? Welcome in if you're new. We're building a world. We're figuring out some things together. Feel free to hop in the chat. Chat with me. I love talking with people. The Titans hate tree huggers. So the Titans have if you haven't been listening, have basically created this world. They're the ones who created this world, right? They created this world around a Titan egg or a Titan child, some kind of being within the planet that they want to gestate for a very, very long time. But in order for that creature to get as strong as it can be, and it needs to be fed with energy, with life, with power, with all these things, with heat, all that crap, right? So, like for instance, they created sorcerers and still do, so that whenever they use magic, it kind of feeds some of that energy into the planet and into the creature. So they didn't create wizards, but same thing with wizards. Whenever anyone uses any arcane magic, some of that is fed into the world. But druids and rangers use nature magic. So in a way, right, they're drawing from the nature energy around them to cast their spells. So it has kind of the opposite effect, logically. Instead of giving to the planet, you're taking from them. And I'm not saying druids are draining the life out of the planet. That's not what I'm saying, because that's obviously not what they want to do. They're druids and rangers, but they're using the nature rather than giving. It still sounds bad, but it makes sense to me. So I'm going with it. Therefore, it's kind of drawing energy away, or that could have been directed towards the egg, towards the child, towards the creature. It's redirecting that into their abilities, right? So they don't like tree huggers. They don't like druids. They don't like rangers. They don't like them. Titans don't like them. So, and we've established already that the Titans are responsible for all storms and natural disasters that happen on the world. So what if they try to, any chance they get, find these druid communities that have started to come together, and try to take them out? Right? They try to take them out. They try to throw storms at them. They try to throw natural disasters on them. They try to open rifts into those areas to bring forth the might of their energy. So the thing I'm wrestling with right now, if you couldn't tell, is that I was about to say, maybe these portals are now at these druid communities, like one for fire, one for water, blah blah blah, and that these druids are now responsible for protecting that rift and making sure it stays closed now that it has been opened. This is pretty much identical to not why it happened, but just the actual details of it. Is how it works in the Critical Role world. And I am don't get me wrong, I'm taking inspiration from it, but I don't want to be that similar. It's gonna be quite different, but I don't know. I don't want to necessarily use that because that's quite similar. But still, this general idea I like. The Titans do hate the tree huggers. That's a fact. Because druids and rangers use nature magic, drawing power from the earth, from the world, to fuel their abilities, right? Again, that still sounds weird, but I don't know how else to put it. This is redirecting that energy away from the Titan Child. Don't worry, I'll come up with a better name for Titan Child. I think I like the hatchling, but typically hatchling means it was just born, and this guy hasn't born yet, but we're just going to go with that for now. This is redirecting that energy away from the hatchling. So the Titans tend to throw storms and other terrible natural disasters towards druids, towards druid communities. Goodness gracious. One of these cats is going to turn off my computer. My computer, the power button is on the top. Who does that? Here's a cat. Oh, wow. He is just under the camera. Oh, there's a tail. There you go. There's a butthole in my face. So that's always great. Can I help you? You get some pets. Fine. You get some pets. Meow. I still love to hear it. Sorry, bud. I saw it though. Maybe I should put my chat on the other side of this screen. Once eventually there's more people in here and more people chatting, though, it will be harder to see. Yeah, it was a good thought. It was a good strategy. It was a good strategy. Didn't quite make it. Excuse me. What's up? 12:30. I'm tired. Titans tend to throw stones on committees. That's just kind of a fact that I wanted to throw in there because it's a neat neat side thing that you might see. Bards. We're looking at bards. So I think we figured out nature magic. It's just they get their magic from nature. It's just kind of a thing. It's a vague thing. Yeah. It's not necessarily something that the nature goddess did. It's just kind of nature has just life and energy as do all things, right? So people, druids and rangers, people have just figured out how to harness that. That's all. That's all. Bards. They use arcane magic. And they're kind of altering this accurately, by the way. It's not just singing. It's not just playing instruments. You can access this magic by any kind of performance. You can access it by dancing. You can access it by speaking, oration, if you will. So how do all of those things grant you arcane power? Is it just one of those things again that just kind of happens? So I don't want to chalk many things up to that they just do. No, because or do the Titans also grant the Bards magic? But why isn't it the same? And why do they need to do instruments or dance like the Sorcerers? I mean, the Sorcerers don't need to. It's like the Wizard, they just access that weave differently. Yes, but how, like, context that I'm using in my brain, right, is like, who's the first bard and how did they do it? Did they just pick up a flute and start playing it and things happened around them? Is it accidental or is it intentional? Is it accidental or is it intentional? I think the weave. I don't think the Sorcerer route, because then why are the Titans like, let's make these guys just have cool powers, but these guys have to dance to get them? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So yeah, let's not do the Titans form. They just make the Sorcerers. So the Bards access the weave, but how? Maybe it just happened accidentally to someone, and they kind of... Because the weave was created, again, by Vicentia, so that anyone could access it. So that includes people who just look at books, study the Arcane Weave. I mean, but like, if we really think about it, how does that work? You know? I just speak some words, and that twists the weave around me. So I guess it's basically the same thing. It's just two different methods. That's an interesting thought. The Bard is kind of like the midpoint between Wizard and Sorcerer. Wizard is all study, right? Sorcerer is all inherent. Well, and you're born with it / granted it, right? Bard is not granted power, but he doesn't learn it by books. He just kind of figures it out. I don't know. I think we're close. So let me put a little list together. Sorcerers. Granted by Titans. Wizards can study to manipulate the weave. Druids / rangers harness natural energy around them. Almost like a half source, a little bit of power already inherent. Is it already inherent? Maybe. But how? Because we're saying the Sorcerer got their magic inherently put in them by the Titans. Is the Titans just like, oh, I have a little bit left. You can have it, I guess. No, I don't like that. I mean, that specific thing that I just said. Maybe a little bit of power is already inherent, but we need to come up with another reason. Why is a little bit of power already inherent in some people? In some people. Who? No, we can't just. We can't just chalk it up to instruments. We can't just put it in instruments. Being a sorcerer is maybe. It could be. It could be. Yeah. So maybe bards are hereditarily from a sorcerer, but didn't get all of it. Is that what you're getting to? That's not bad. If you're a sorcerer and you have a kid, there is a chance that they will be a sorcerer. There's a chance that they will not be a sorcerer. There's also a chance that they will be a bard. And, by this time, when we're actually in the campaign, there are, maybe not a bunch of bards, but, there are sorcerers all over the place. I can't quote all over the place. You know what I mean? But, this is many, many, many generations after the Weave was created, right? Or after, sorry, Sorcerers were made a thing. Of course, actually, the Titans would have made Sorcerers very early on in this whole creation myth. So yeah, there have been chances for vast reproduction of Sorcerers to create more Sorcerers / Bards. Interesting. And obviously, in an actual play of the game, all this crap isn't really going to matter, but it is important to have in mind. Because like, oh, you're a bard. Where did you get your power? Oh, when I play instruments. So like they're, you know, not every bard will know that they were born with it necessarily. It's just kind of when I do stuff, magic happens. But you know, if a player or whatever were to come up to me and say, I'm a bard, I got my power randomly from a dude, be like, no, that's not true, unless the dude you're referring to is your dad. Okay, let me keep writing here. Bards. So sorcerers are granted by Titans, or the product of their parentage. That's a weird way to say that, but I typed it, so. I think bards can also give way to more bards as well. Give that little bit of power just kind of trickling down through the bloodline. And bards can even, give way to a sorcerer, There's no really, like, blood science to it. It just kind of is a thing. Like, okay. Product of parentage, whether it be a sorcerer or bard. Inherent magic, but must do some kind of performance to wield said magic. Like, this doesn't require study, right? It doesn't require books, like wizards. Wizards got to work for their crap, but sorcerers and bards, bards got to work a little bit for their crap. They gotta get good at something. Sorcerers really is easy money, man. Easy money. And then warlock, you're going to get power from your patron. But in a way that will also be manipulating the weave, though. So we're saying sorcerers don't mess with the weave. That's interesting. So neither do bards. It's important for that distinction as well. But all spellcasters, besides druids and rangers, help feed the world, if you will. Help feed the world. Let me put that. All spellcasters. Let me put a couple things here. A couple clarifications. Wizards. So only wizards manipulate the weave? No, warlocks. Wizards and warlocks manipulate the weave. All spellcasters, besides feed the world. You got 3 pages here. Woo. Any other spellcasters I forgot about? Cleric and Paladin. cleric and paladin get power from their deity, as long as they keep faith. And I'm going to say cleric and paladin does not feed the world. Let me put that in quotes, so if anybody like tuning in, that means something for us, feeding the world. Besides druids, rangers, clerics, and paladins. It's like half the spellcasters. Any other spellcasters I forgot about? What are the other classes? We have fighter, rogue, and and the subclasses in those and some of those particular things will be like the arcane trickster. That's like a wizard. I mean that's just dependent, but yeah, that's just dependent upon the situation, I guess. Let's see, there are 12 classes, right? Sorcerers, wizards, druid, ranger, bard, warlock, cleric, paladin. That's 8. Yeah. We got barbarian, no magic. Fighter, no magic, typically. Rogue, no magic, typically. What's the last one? What's the last one? Monk. Yeah, my favorite, yeah. Monk. How did I forget the monk? Monk, yeah, and the monk's abilities will just come from your typical monkness. Like, as in, your inner self, your peace, just allows you to do supernatural things, right? Preternatural things, if you will. So they don't access, quote unquote, magic. I mean, the monk of the 4 elements, that one casts spells, but those spells aren't arcane for narrative purposes. They aren't manipulating the weave. I'll say they aren't feeding the world either. Well, actually, the 4 elements one will be you might even be getting those powers from the Titans themselves, which is interesting. Which in a way might be, quote, feeding the world. Because the Titans would love that. But I think that's less so getting power from the Titans. I think that's just the monk harnessing the energy of the elements and being able to bring forth those at will. Yeah. Okay, but I mean, that's yeah, we don't need to think about that right now. For all intents and purposes, monks don't do magic. Like the concept of magic, the weave, the egg, the classes, etc. Awesome. Glad to hear it, bud. Glad to hear it. I think I like all this stuff as well. Yeah, the whole egg thing, child thing is a good thing to have just in the back of the mind, because it might what's the word? Influence certain decisions, and what the Titans are doing. So another thing, are the Titans and the gods, I'm going to be getting off here soon, but are the Titans and the gods physical? Are they literal? Or are they embodiments of powers at work? I don't know. The gods are physical, I think. They are in another realm, though, and can interact from afar. Or can they walk the earth? Or both? I think we'll do a typical, the cliche here. They are larger than life physical beings in their own realms, right? But they can send an avatar down to the world, at least for now. I might take some Critical Role inspiration at some point in the history, but not at the moment. Again, never mind. they can send an avatar down. It's like, and I don't mean that like Last Airbender, they're not embodying an individual already on the planet. They're kind of just sending a version of themselves, a much smaller, disguised form, if you will, of their, so not their true form. Because their true form would be one, ginormous, and probably kill you if you look at it. Go pretty cliche there. It's like that. The Titans. I don't think the Titans are physical. I mean, I don't think the Titans are beings that you could leave the planet or leave the plane and travel to. Oh, yeah, Great Dini. I think you might be onto something there. Well, because in this time period that we're aiming for here, the minor gods aren't really a thing yet. So I think my players for that first campaign, right, will serve or will know about these four deities and nothing else. But that could be what they turn into. That could be like the inspiration for the minor gods, those avatars. Maybe keep that in mind. What was I saying? The Titans aren't beings that you can go to. I think they are embodied within the elements themselves. So, whenever you see whenever you see some water, that's like, and you speak to it. That's like you speaking to the water Titan. They're kind of ever present within anywhere you see that element, right? So we have Earth, I guess that's just everything. Air is pretty much, it's not pretty much, it is everything as well. Wherever fire, is lit or whatever. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. That Titan is there within it. It's kind of like a god. They're kind of like gods in a way, but different. Where they're ever present, but only obviously within their own elements. And then what's the last one? What did I miss? Fire, air, earth, water. Yeah. Water is almost everywhere as well, if not everywhere. So because when they formed it, they kind of used themselves and became the planet, and are like encompassing that being, that creature, that child. Yeah. And whenever two elements might meet, it might create another effect, like a lava, right, or magma that is fire and earth together. Yeah. Okay. I like this. So they're kind of embodied within the elements on the world. I think soon we're going to try to figure out a name for this new world so that we can start referring to it as that. And again, not again. That might change, but maybe we at least put a placeholder in there soon. It would have to be and in terms of the name, it's going to be like a strange word, a made-up word. I mean to say it's not going to be like Forgotten Realms. It's going to be like Oerth or Exandria or Greyhawk, but I don't like Greyhawk actually. That name for that style of name for a world, more like a combination of letters that comes up with a cool sounding word. That's what I'm talking about. What are some other instances? What are some other good world names? Eberron, Jumbled letters, yes, for sure. Here's what the internet has for us. Good fantasy world names. Yeah, Neverwinter. Well, I mean, that's a city. Never mind. Discworld. Wonderland, Neverland. The Magic Universe. That's the one. That's the one. Frontim. Oh, skinnies. And it's got to roll off, you know. I want it to be easy to say. Not any of these. Loquatary. What the hell? Redunian. Quepoyon. Quepoyon? Like, should it take inspiration from something that we make? So should we wait? I mean, again, this will be a placeholder. Potentially the name itself, but mostly a placeholder. For Poidum! But like what I was saying is, should it be inspiration from something that we create? Something? Or should it just be some cool sounding name? Like, let me look. Like, should the world be named after this fellowship somehow? This fellowship of the four gods? I mean, there's no like name though. It can't be like a dwarven name, or it can't be an elven name. It can't be related to any particular of these, unless we kind of combine. But that's not gonna be Viva Sav Dementia. No. Grimoire. Grimoranvis. Grimoire Sevis. No. Grimoire Saventia. No, it's too long. Any kind of combination would be too long. Because it could have been at this time, or it could have been earlier that the name was created. I mean, what who creates the name of their world? You know what I'm saying? It would be probably a community like these four gods. That makes sense that they would create the name. Yeah, I mean, I feel it makes sense that they would think of the names of their own cities and stuff. But would they come up? I mean, so the dwarves probably had a name for the world, and the elves probably, and the elves probably had a name for the world. But like, it probably took these four gods to kind of cement something so that everybody could have that, right? So maybe it is an amalgamation of a dwarven and elven thing. That could be interesting. So let me just look up dwarf names and elf names and see if we can find something there. What time is it? I leave soon. I don't. This might be a decent exercise. I'm not sure. Kuvad Vamir. Kuvamir. No. Vamad. No. Stupid. I feel like the beginning needs to be an elf. Nelkrieg. Nell Grayan. Nell. Va. I like the va maybe at the beginning. Va or res. Resputin. Resguli. Resgrok. Galantier. Isn't that from something? Sounds like it's from something. Vornamar. It's not bad. It's not bad. Galantir. I think it just reminds me of Galadriel. I think that's what I was thinking of. It's not bad. Nimun. Nimnona. It's interesting. Nimnona. There's too many N's. Namibia. No, that's a country, I think. Nibibina. No, stupid. Welcome to DMing. Making up names. 101. Arnarika. I feel like I could do something with that. Narika. Arnarin. Is that annoying you? Arnabeth. No, that's a name. Arnindra. Arnindra. Hey. A Palantir. Nice. Galadriel plus Palantir. It's funny. We will maybe figure that out next time. As a reminder, I won't be here tomorrow. I am going over to a convention in Miami, Florida. Why did my background music not go back up? Because I have it at decrease. Is that how I... But thank you all for joining me so much. This has been so much fun. Another great day of world building. This won't necessarily be every single day. I mean, we have a lot to do, but... Oh, you are? Oh, okay. That's cool. I'm also in Tampa. I was hesitating, but I only have 4 viewers, so it's fine. Don't want to be doxxed, but yeah, I'm in Tampa as well. That's really funny. What was I about to say? Yep, going to Florida SuperCon in Miami. That should be a lot of fun. Gonna get up crazy early tomorrow to get over there. So not looking forward to that. But, so like I said, this has been so much fun. We are like an hour south. Nice. Like Fort Myers area or something.